What's up, YouTube? What's up? It's your boy JFlood201, and I'm back for another reaction. So we got a lot of views and a lot of people in the chat leaving comments, stuff like that, for the reaction that I did to two different videos. One was the clip that went viral with Math Hoffa talking about Sue Surf and how Sue Surf isn't gonna battle people no more. And then he kind of, Math Hoffa implies that the reason Sue Surf ain't gonna battle nobody is because, you know, I guess there's no rules no more. That's what he says. I guess there's no rules no more. Essentially implying that Sue Surf is no good. So we watched that video. Then we watched a video of a breakdown where the guy goes through the case and he shows you what essentially the case is, the evidence. And it turns out that Sue Surf just took a plea deal. In the plea deal, he did not have to cooperate. He did not have to make statements. And that everybody in the RICO is essentially taking different levels of plea agreements where they individually admit to what they did themselves. And that it's still the government's responsibility to connect the dots in order to prove that this was in furtherance of a criminal organization, right? But that all of them are essentially admitting to the crimes that they have the evidence against them for. So essentially they're teeing up the case for the government, and that while they're not cooperating, that by taking the plea agreement, the government really doesn't have to do this long investigation and spend a lot of the federal taxpayer dollars to prove the case, so forth and so on. Saving people time and money, and also allowing the government to give more fair consequences to the individuals involved. So really, it's nothing like what Math Hoffa was insinuating in his video. So we're gonna watch some of the responses that have popped up over the last couple days, because Math Hoffa made some waves, especially with YouTubers like me that mostly react to New York, New Jersey, PA, Connecticut content, and then we cover some issues across the United States. You know, I definitely try to stay tapped in with California, having lived there for a little bit. I like to react to all sorts of things, but I definitely keep my hand on the pulse of what's going on in the Garden State. So we're gonna watch some reactions to that energy that Math Hoffa is putting out there and kind of insinuating that Sue Surf is no good.
Servant of the white man's courtroom, but this I am no servant of the white man's courtroom. But this reckless talk about Sue Surf being a snitch is the language of the lost, the vocabulary of slaves repeating what the enemy whispers in their ear. Some of you have become megaphones for lies, echoing the poison of a man like Math Hoffa, the same Math once accused of violating a black woman, Kiki Hardbody.
Oh shit. So Math Hoffa had some stuff about how he was... That's crazy.
And you have the nerve, the audacity, to question another man's honor? You hypocrites. Let me make this clear for the slow and the spiritually dead. A plea is not betrayal. A plea is strategy. A snitch is a Judas. A man who delivers his brother to the enemy for personal freedom. But Sue Surf stood tall and took responsibility for his own choices. He didn't drag another man's name into the serpent's den. He was one among 10 men charged, and instead of gambling his life against a system built to bury black men, he made a choice that kept him breathing. That is wisdom, not weakness. You simple-minded spectators see a lighter sentence and scream, snitch, because you can't read beyond the headline. You've been conditioned to believe every man with sense must be dirty, every victory must be crooked. But what you're really showing is your addiction to ignorance. Let's look at the timeline for those who can still think. And now you gossipers, with no evidence, no documents, no understanding of federal law, run to the internet like children with matches, burning a man's name with lies. You don't want truth, you want entertainment. Until you can present proof of cooperation, not rumor, not speculation, keep that man's name out your mouth. The real betrayal is not from Sue Surf. It's from those of you who would rather see a black man broken than see him navigate the system and survive. Wake up and learn to discern. This isn't about paperwork, it's about principle. And the principle is this: you cannot free your people if you keep crucifying every brother who refuses to die stupid. I am no servant of the white.
Crazy. Wow, man, they skewered. Absolutely skewered. I mean, eviscerated everything that Matt Hoffa is saying and implied. And basically are saying that he betrayed, the confidence of not just the people around him on that show, but the entire internet. And as a result, they're essentially saying he's like a race traitor for, talking bad on Sue Surf. Because I did exactly what they're talking about. I went to the internet to do a reaction video. Now I do reaction videos to everything, so it's not like, I'm picking on people or anything like that. And I did try to go through the case, and if you watch my video in full, you can tell right off the bat, what do I say? I say it would take a lot for me to convince me that Sue Surf would do anything like that. And, I've taken plea deals myself. I completely understand the legal strategy part of it. And I am a civilian, you know what I mean? I even think that most people if they didn't have kind of like affiliations or ties with organizations, that most people would cooperate in that circumstance. It's just a crazy thing. But to try to say basically talking bad about individuals, is one of those territories where it's like, that's not what we try to do as reaction channels and people. I definitely was not trying to throw anybody under the bus or skewer their name, put out bad information, anything like that. I'm reacting to things as they happen. You know what I mean? So when I see something, I react to it, which is why now, a day or two later, right, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Everybody now is coming out and saying that basically this is some sort of personal beef, that Matt Hoffa was doing that on purpose to make him look bad, probably because he's jealous of the fact that Sue Surf is so popular and has so much promise and talent, right? I myself remember being in a jail cell and like Sue Surf was the one thing that like we had all the lyrics memorized to, so we would rap Sue Surf. I literally remember being in a 23-in-1 cell, meeting my cellie being like, yo, you like rap music? And I was like, yeah, I like rap music. I got a whole channel where I react to things, and most of it is rap music, drill music, and like content like that. He's like, no way, you know Sue Surf? And I was like, yeah, I know his music. And then he starts rapping off the rip. He starts saying, Lockdown 23-in-1, right? What's that line from the Bars on I-95 freestyle? Push-ups 100 down all the way to 1. Windows tinted so I couldn't see the sun, right? And we're in a 23-in-1 cell while he's rapping this. So, like, to bring somebody down like Sue Surf, who empowers other people to get through struggle, really says everything that you need to know about that guy, Matt Hoffa, who I don't even know who that guy is. I'm going to be honest. All I saw was that clip go viral and react to it. So I'm glad I could come back a day later and let everybody know that these are the reactions. These are now the videos that are going viral. You got people calling out the truth and defending Sue Surf's name. And so we had to do the same thing here on my channel. And I'm glad that I could do that for everybody. All right. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, spread the news. It's JFlood201, and you'll see me in the next reaction.